if you're thinking about quitting your job, you can have a bunch of fears and downsides staring you in the face. And sometimes it's important to remember how much massive upside there is to balance those scales out. So I want to share those with you. I hope you find these valuable. What's up, friends? Kevin here again. Thanks so much for stopping by. So it's been almost 8 months now since I left my startup job at our tech startup here in Silicon Valley to pursue building a sustainable income around my YouTube channel here. Bye, Kevin! It was honestly one of the most scary, stressful decisions of my entire, albeit short, adult life. I was really scared, to be honest. I was petrified of falling behind my peers and having to start back at square one if things didn't work out. But you know what? Looking back, I owe so much to this one decision. It's led to one of the most significant periods of personal growth in my own personal life. And so I wanted to share with you today the 7 ways that I've grown the most from leaving my job. And I know I'm super fortunate to have been able to save up some money in the bank, and I know that's not a life situation that everyone has access to. So for that, I'm super grateful. Here are the 7 most profound ways that I've grown personally as a direct result of leaving my job. Let's jump into it. All right, number 1, your relationship with money fundamentally changes. You start to ask the deeper questions of how money works, how you can create value, and how you can capture more of that value. This is slightly more deeper than the typical shallow question of where can I find a job? Having a job is something that's already systematized for you. You can find websites and throw your resume to them, but when you're trying to build an income from scratch, you don't have that luxury. You have to understand at a very fundamental level how money works in the first place. You use first principles thinking to carve your path towards what you want rather than waiting for somebody to give it to you. Number 2, you start to realize full responsibility for your own life. Everything becomes your fault, and you're forced to really wrestle with the decisions that you're making. You no longer have the luxury of putting your head down and working on whatever work is given to you. If you're working on something and pour your heart and soul into it, but it was the wrong thing to be working on, you still don't get any pay. And there's no boss that you can blame and say, I just did whatever he told me to do or she told me to do. You have to make sure that you're working on the right things. And whatever you're working on, you end up giving it your all. Like, so take my case. Pretty much aside from sleeping, eating, and exercise, I was pretty much just working all the time. Now, of course, that's not the healthiest long-term lifestyle. But the point here that I'm trying to make is that when you're on the hook financially for all of your decision making, you start to approach your work and your goals from a very different perspective. Number 3, you tap into more potential. Sure, when you work for a company, you give your best during work hours. But when you come home, then you start to compartmentalize. However, when you build your own thing, when you're chasing your own dream and making that happen for yourself, it doesn't matter if it's Monday or if it's Saturday, you just can't help but keep thinking about what you're working on. And as a result, you naturally focus your subconscious. So while you're not even thinking about it consciously, say when you're driving or taking a shower, your subconscious is still processing, drawing connections between what's happening in your life and starts figuring things out for you even while you're not consciously working on them. This allows you to reap so many more key insights than you would have otherwise been able to find. I've had so many nights where I lie down to sleep, and as soon as it's quiet, my subconscious starts bubbling up all of these thoughts and insights that it's been gathering and processing throughout the day. So many cool thoughts that I have to sit up and write them down. And that is the power of having your subconscious optimized toward a very specific problem. And it is really freaking powerful. There we go. There was some dust on the lens. And number 4, this is one I've been struggling with for a very long time. Learning to not care what people think of you. I've been a people pleaser my entire life, and so I've struggled with this so much ever since I was a kid. And this is a very common problem, so I know a lot of you can probably relate. I would read so many of these self-help books from high school to college, and although I would understand, I guess, the reasoning behind why you shouldn't care as much, I was never able to internalize that on a gut level. But you know what? When I quit my job, my goals sounded so ridiculous to other people that I basically gave up trying to convince them that I wasn't some lunatic. I knew what I was aiming to do, and I knew what I had to do to get there, And I knew that it was possible based on the research I did and talking to other people. So I realized that what these other people thought of me had nothing to do with my ability to reach my goals over here. And so finally understanding that allowed me to walk into situations with this thing going on in the back of my head saying, this person probably thinks you're completely out of it and completely crazy, but it doesn't matter because they have no say in where you're trying to get to in life. And for me, that was something so revolutionary that finally clicked in my head and allowed me to finally stop caring what other people thought of me. Number 5, you start to feel aligned. As you work on what you care about, your mission and your identity end up becoming one. And there is a certain profound piece to that. You don't have to pretend anymore that you're interested in something that you're actually not. If you've ever read The Scarlet Letter, it's a book that we had to read here in high school, then you're familiar with the idea that hiding something is often more torturous than just being yourself in the first place. When you're working at a job and you feel the pressure to pretend like you care about something more than you actually do, that in and of itself is a very taxing psychological stress on you every single day. But when you're working on something that you genuinely care about at all levels of you as a person, you can finally stop pretending that you're interested in something that you're not. And what's more is when you do work on the things that you are interested in, when you go to places and meet people who are doing similar things, that enthusiasm, that genuine interest shows through, and it's absolutely magnetic. And so for me, my goal here on this channel stems from what I believe as a person, that everyone is intrinsically valuable, that everybody matters. So I'm trying to build this channel into this sustainable thing that uses video to make the world a less lonely place. Because that's genuinely what I believe we need more of in this world. So if that resonates with you at all, please consider subscribing to this channel. I'm still trying to figure out how to make meaning and make money at the same time, but I'm sharing everything I'm learning here so we can be on this journey together. All right, back on topic. Oh, so sore. My legs fell asleep. Whew. All right, where were we? Number 6, increasing your tolerance for risk. If it doesn't work, you learn that you can survive in the face of failure. You see, people who take smart risks are disproportionately rewarded for that. As Casey Neistat once put it,
life shrinks and life expands in direct proportion to your willingness to assume risk.
By experiencing failure and scrappy living, you learn that you'll be okay no matter what happens. There's this great story I heard about Elon Musk. I don't know if it's true or not, but I really like the lesson behind it. And the story goes, when he was younger, he decided to live off of just $1 per day for an entire month, just to prove to himself that he could survive if his whole financial situation went to rock bottom. And so he ended up eating wholesale pasta and oranges every single day for a month. And because he did this fear-setting exercise, he could now take more risks than other people could because he's not as afraid of the repercussions of failure. And number 7, as a result of leaving your job to chase what you love, you end up surrounding yourself with a totally different set of people. This was huge for me. And to be clear, I'm not putting down my past coworkers. What I'm talking about right here, is about finding a tribe of people that are on the same life journey as you are. You see, we as human beings fear the unknown. And so if everyone around you is working a job, you start to believe that that's the only safe path that you could go down. Whereas that might totally not even be the case. You see, the main differentiator for people who achieve 10x, 100x results in their life is in how they see the world and the different decisions they make as a result of that. We all have 24 hours in a day. We all have similar physical abilities. Even Usain Bolt, the fastest human being on planet Earth, can only run about 2, maybe 3 times faster than the average person. But he definitely can't run 10 times or even 100 times faster. And take reading, for example. Sure, you might be able to read faster than other people, but definitely not 100 times faster. So then how is it possible in areas of money and influence and other measures of success that some people are able to achieve 100, 1,000 times more results than the average person? It really comes down to how you aim, how you make decisions. With the same amount of work, the way you aim differently drastically changes the results that you get. Because our results come from our actions, which come from our decisions, which come from the way that we see the world. And the way that you see the world comes in large part from the friends and the people you surround yourself with. Their experiences become your experiences. As you share opportunities and share stories, that's the set of data that your brain starts to work around to form its core beliefs, and therefore make its decisions, to take actions, and influences the results that you get. So in my case, when I dove into YouTube full time, I started going to conferences, making more friends that were other YouTube creators, and really trying to build out our creator community here in the San Francisco Bay Area. By the way, if you're located near San Francisco, hit me up, send me a DM on Instagram, let's get connected. And now I have such a robust community of other creators that I get the pleasure of having this cool adventure with. Before taking the leap, I thought it was ludicrous to expect to make a full living on YouTube. But after taking that jump and building up my community, I now see actually how realistic it is. And the only difference is in the groups of people, the stories, and the experiences I choose to surround myself with. So there you have it, 7 ways that leaving my job ended up being a massive catalyst for personal growth in my life. And I know my situation of having savings is a luxury for sure. And quitting your job is not a mandatory requirement for growing in these ways. But if you're considering quitting your job and you're on the fence, I hope this was able to shed some light for you on the positive sides, because I know the negative sides can often be so glaring and so reinforced by the people around you that it's hard to see that there's a balance there. If you've gotten this far in the video and have found any sort of value in this, please give a like. That really helps me to grow as a channel. And now it's your turn. I would love to hear your stories. Let me know if you've ever considered leaving your job. But if you're watching this at work, maybe wait till you get home. I don't want you to get in trouble. I'm grateful that I get to share all this with you all. Thanks so much for watching. All right, that's it for now. Click on another video to keep watching, and I'll see you over there in a couple seconds. Thanks so much for watching. Be well, my friends. Peace. Cool beans.